yielded about 100 million views towards the end of the month. And you spent 100 grand on editing last month.
I want people to be scrolling on TikTok and see me every 5-10 videos. I'm posting 40 times a day.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. I'll sprinkle in like an OnlyFans girl like once or twice a month because I know I'll pull views.
With 11 million Instagram followers and a podcast featuring top-tier guests, Sean Kelly's dominating the digital world.
I sucked at first at podcasting. I have autism, ADHD, childhood trauma. Anyone could take one of those and use that as an excuse. I knew this podcast when I started it was going to be big because I knew I was locking in and going all out.
What is the structure of a clip for you? Is there a specific CTA? Is there a specific open? Sean Mike Kelly, it is awesome to turn the tables here.
Yeah, I'm here after filming 11 episodes here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, that is fucking bananas. So for those that don't know, you have a kind of a wild entrepreneurial background with stuff that from crypto to more traditional e-com stuff, but that you grew entirely on social with a $1,000 investment, to now a podcast, Digital Social Hour, which is massive at this point. And what's interesting to me about that one in particular is how quickly you grew it. I want to talk about both the podcast and your business past. But before we dig into that stuff, I want to get kind of a fundamental idea of how your podcast works. So can you give me kind of a frame and structure for it? I saw a post that you did that you spent 100 grand on editing last month and yielded about 100 million views or so towards the end of the month.
Yeah.
How do you structure the whole podcast? What's the workflow like? What's the team like? How's that set up?
Yeah, so I announced that we're planning on spending 100 grand a month. I haven't done it yet. Right now we're at about, I think, 30 to 35K a month. And there's two types of editors. So the main editors I have are kind of more in-house. So that's the content you'll see on my pages. So I pay those guys monthly for X amount of clips. And then what I did recently, and this is how we're going to get to 100K a month, is they call them clippers. So they post on their pages and they get paid based off how many views they get. So every million views they get is $400. So we have teenage kids now making, a couple $1,000 a month, just reclipping my content, posting it on their pages. We're doing about 10,000 clips a month.
Damn.
We just started last month. So we're going to scale it up to 50 to 100,000 clips a month. And at that point, it'll be probably around 100 grand.
If you back out like 10 years, we kind of launched into this influencer space of, hey, I've got a product I want to sell. Let me go find functionally affiliates, but like people that have some audience to go push it for you. This is sort of the evolution of doing that. And it went from kind of traditional affiliates to shout outs to now you've got clippers. Yeah. Right? Where do you find them and how do you like rally them and harness them? Now you've got all these agencies that do stuff like that.
Right. Good question. Yeah. So I'm still new to this. Granted, we started this month, but from what I've researched, there's two of the main apps right now, which is Discord and WHOP, WHOP. So we're testing both right now. WHOP's pretty good API in my opinion. Discord is kind of hard to use, and I'm a millennial, so that's saying a lot. It's really complicated, and you could get hacked and stuff. But yeah, I'm figuring it out. So I would use one of those two. If you're like not as techie, I'd say WHOP is easier. And what they do is they just have a bunch of people in these servers, and then you post that you want this amount of views. You set the prices. So some people pay $600 per million. If you're famous, you pay less. So like Mr. Beast is only paying $50 for every million views because he's already famous and it's easier to get views. So right now I'm starting at $400. Over time, that's going to go down to $200, $100 for every million as I get a bigger audience.
WHOP is kind of like is an interesting tool because it's a marketplace, right?
Yeah.
So how did you get turned on to that? I know a bunch of creators that use it.
Right.
Is it just going into it and looking for people specifically that are offering to do this, or is it an offering that WHOP has?
It's an offering they have. They just launched it this year, clipping. There's people in our space using it already. I saw Pace Morby on there and a couple other guys. I just met the founders at ClickFunnels. Dan Fleischman connected us, and yeah, they're killing it. So I like the API. Like I said, it's easy, and we just launched the Andrew Tate clipping campaign there right now, so that'll get a ton of views.
Sick. That's good to know. Views versus subscribers.
Views. I care more about views. Same with followers. I care more about views and engagement over followers.
Did that transition happen at some point? Was it previously about subs for you?
Yeah. Followers and subs used to matter a lot to me, but as the algorithms have advanced, actually they're becoming more and more irrelevant. So like followers don't matter. You could have 10 million followers, get no engagement. You see that all the time on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. So followers are just kind of social credibility, and it helps you get responses in DMs. So I look at it from that angle. I don't really care about followers.
That's an interesting distinction because there's like, now we're in a world where it seems like you need to have a presence, or there's a huge advantage to having a presence, I should say, and a personal brand.
Yeah.
Does it make sense to launch something now that's new and not focus on subs or followers at all?
Yeah, because of the algorithm, you could have 0 followers and get tons of views. So like, I wouldn't worry about it more than engagement. If you provide really good content, the views and the engagement will come. Just use followers as a scorekeeper, I guess, but don't obsess over it.
Yeah. Well, to that end, the other thing that seems to be bouncing around is like organic, aiming for viral, or paying for traffic.
Yeah.
How do you look at those two things?
I don't do any paid personally, which is probably a mistake. But yeah, I'm all organic. We're getting a lot of views. And when I do launch an offer or whatever, I'm probably going to have to start doing paid because you can only get so much revenue with just straight organic. So I do acknowledge that part of it. But I think paid's getting harder from what I hear.
I mean, paid's always kind of a bitch in every area, right? Like you still have to figure it out no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's never been my area of expertise. I similarly with Easy Pay Direct anyway, and with Beyond a Million, it's always been organic, word of mouth.
Right.
That can just take a lot longer to build.
Yeah.
And paid, obviously, you can just spend money and get stuff right away. The challenge for me with paid, or like the question for me with paid is, does it squash organic reach?
Yes, because I've experimented with YouTube ads. So I guess I have done paid ads. I misspoke earlier, but yeah, I've heard that from platforms. When you start boosting the posts on whatever platform you're on, it'll start suppressing your reach. Your reach is already being suppressed anyways. I only reach 1% of my followers. A majority of my views come from non-followers. So even though I'm getting hundreds of millions of views a month now, like I said, we have the clippers, and then with the algorithms, the way they're structured, your followers aren't even seeing your stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree.
Does it make more sense for you to spend, and I think that I know the answer for you and your approach, but does it make more sense to spend time trying to get a viral clip or just to go full press on as much as you can with other people's pages?
I think you want both because you want to build your pages and your credibility. But you also want to be everywhere as a podcast. So like, I want people to be scrolling on TikTok and see me every 5-10 videos. That's the level I want to get to. That'll help the valuation of the company and the presence and help me get more sponsors and everything, you know? So it just helps me in the long run.
What do you think the biggest mistake is that new people make when they're launching a podcast?
A lot. I mean, it's not an easy space, man.
Yeah.
I think people underestimate how difficult it is. I think people have this notion they just show up, interview people, and they can even interview big people that have a following and expect views.
Right.
It's not like that. My most viewed guests aren't big people usually. So there's a formula where you can get the best out of people without having celebrities on your show, but it takes a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of work.
A formula in terms of how you structure
the clip, like the editing of the clip, captions, whatever. I don't think it matters too much. I think it's more so the editing and the consistency.
Yeah.
I'm posting 40 times a day on my own pages. And then we have the clippers because of trials. So we should talk about that. Yeah. Instagram launched a new feature called Trials. So now you can post content. It doesn't show to any of your followers. And the ones that do well, you could push to your main feed. So out of the 40 I post, about 3 to 6 do well. Well for me is 100,000 views. So if it hits that, I'll push it to my main feed and then I'll get another couple 100,000 views.
Sick. And Trials, at this point, it's mid-March 2025.
Yeah.
Trials came out, a month ago?
About a month, yeah. That's why I've been milking it, because prior to that, I was only posting 3 times a day. But whenever there's a new feature, you got to milk it because they push it really hard.
I hear that a lot. And I also think that there's always this question with entrepreneurship of when do you allow yourself to get distracted and try something new versus just doing the thing you know is working.
Yeah, I agree with that. But Trials is such a, it really doesn't take much additional work because you're posting your old content. So the thing with podcasts is we have so much content that never gets repurposed. And that's not just for podcasts, that's for just media in general. So just post your winning videos that performed well 6 months ago, 12 months ago. I use a program called Sludge AI, changes the metadata of the video because if you repost the same video, it won't pop off again. You have to change the metadata. So Sludge AI, I'll send you the link to put it in the video.
Dope. You also just had the Opus guys on the show. How have you seen, so Opus Opus One is the wine. It's opus.ai.
Yeah, Opus Pro or something.
Opus Pro, something like that. We used them in the past. And kind of like my general take on AI video clipping has been that it's not really there. And you can't get, you rarely get something dope out of it.
Agreed. They've improved a lot. I haven't used their newer versions, but now they have a lot of advanced features. But when I started, it was on Opus. I remember it was a big deal at the time 2 years ago just to get subtitles on your video.
Right.
And then it became like, oh, what color and what font? And now it's evolved to like, oh, you need B-roll. People get so distracted. If you don't have B-roll, it's hard to watch. So yeah, it's always changing. You got to be on top of the trends.
If your whole world is content creation, it makes sense that like you're going to have to be testing that shit all the time.
Yeah.
Trying new stuff all the time. So that's not really a distraction, I suppose, but more of a core feature. What is the structure of a clip for you that you think pops off? Is there a specific CTA? Is there a specific open?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Well, my guests differ a lot, but overall, I'd say really interesting hook is the most important part of the video. So the first 3 seconds. And Instagram just launched a new feature this week where it shows you what your watch time is actually. Finally, they needed that for a while. And if you're losing a lot of people in the first 3 seconds, they actually penalize you heavily. So that's the most important part of the video. So get a really viral hook. Then from there, just, back it up with facts or whatever. But the hook is the main focus. You really got to nail that.
I see a fair amount of people looping clips.
Yeah.
Do you invest time in doing that to make sure that the clip loops?
I haven't tried it yet, but I've seen that. I see that in basketball content and podcast clips. I might have to try that.
I know I get stuck watching the same fucking clip like 3 times because it just keeps playing.
So TikTok did announce that is plus 5 points in their scoring system when you rewatch. So I'm sure Instagram is similar.
Well, so you've got the structure. One of the things that's interesting about your podcast versus like Beyond a Million is predominantly business content, right? And so it's narrow in focus, and it's also more narrow in guests because only so many people do 8, 9, 10 figures, et cetera.
Right.
But you have a broader audience. So you've got like business people, then you've got influencers, you've got athletes, like you have celebrities, all sorts of stuff. Is there a particular type of guest that you think performs better than others?
Yes, but it always changes. So like politics was obviously really hot before the election. It's still pretty hot, but that year I definitely milked that. Right before that, biohacking was super hot, like health, and that's still decently, attractive. So it's always changing. Right now, debates are really hot. So I'm moderating debates. I'm really passionate about that. I think it's providing a lot of value to people to see both sides. And I'd say debates right now are my main focus for this year, at least.
You know who Rick Rubin is?
Yeah.
I've heard Rick Rubin talk about, it's like basically his thesis in life is that artists should only produce things for themselves. And if they produce for themselves, it will create the highest quality thing that other people will like. But if you start to produce for other people, that's where you end up blending into the rest of the world.
Interesting.
How much do you think chasing trends is important versus pursuing stuff that's interesting to you?
You need both, I think, because chasing trends will get a lot of views, but you can't fall into that trap of what Ruben's talking about where you're just trying to people please every single person. So that's a dangerous road. So you need both. That's why I'll sprinkle in like an OnlyFans girl like once or twice a month because I know I'll pull views. I'll have Lily Phillips on. I just had her on. She's the one that slept with 100 men in a day.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Did you hear about that?
No.
Really? Wow.
No.
So you're pretty removed from social media.
Well, or just like generally porn. By design, probably.
Yeah. So she broke the internet for that. And then, so I'll sprinkle those in. But yeah, at the same time, my main thing I want to do is provide value to people.
Yeah, that's interesting. So like, if you think about providing value to other people versus scratching your own itch, how do you stay engaged with that?
Yeah, it's a balance because what I'm interested in isn't what the masses are interested in.
Right.
Because I'm similar to you where I'm interested in high level business and like biohacking and all this advanced AI stuff. That's not going to get hundreds of millions of views.
Right.
Unfortunately. So yeah, because I'm trying to sell this thing one day, I have to attract the masses, get as many views as possible because that helps the company grow. So I'm kind of playing that game at the same time.
When we started Beyond a Million, at probably the same time that you started Digital Social Hour.
2 years ago?
Yeah. Probably, I think we were 2.5, so probably beginning of 23.
Yeah.
The premise for us is 8, 9, 10 figure entrepreneurs talking sales, marketing, operations, technology, and taxation. And a big part of that is that there's this gap in business of how do you do things once you get it started. there's a lot of study and case study, and even colleges study businesses that are bigger and what works when you're bigger. And there's lots of stuff on startups. But this sort of messy middle of like a few $1,000,000 to 10 or 20, where everybody's sort of starting to specialize. Like in the beginning, everybody wears a million hats, right? And then people start to specialize. And so you can clean up the business, but that interim phase is really sloppy. So we started only interviewing those people. But the number of people that have a massive audience that are, 10, 100, billion-dollar companies, it's not very big.
Slim pickings.
It is, man, because most of the people that focus on large audience are doing so to grow the company. And by the time you've grown the company, most people aren't concerned with building a big audience.
Super slim. And I know this for a fact because I was researching billionaires to invite on the podcast. And I asked ChatGPT how many billionaires have been on podcasts. It could only come up with 11, could be a little more than that, but that's a very little number for billionaires.
Yeah, well, I know that I've definitely had friends that have declined to come on because they do not want a social presence that are kind of in that.
Yeah, a lot of billionaires are low key.
Yeah, that multi-9-figure plus range. They're like, why would I do that?
Makes them a target.
Yeah, exactly. Why would I buy?
Yeah, I don't blame them.
No, I don't either. But we're kind of, I think, at this phase in society, they had to start their financial journey a long time ago.
Right.
So they're already established in that path and in that mindset. And I think that that's probably going to change over time.
I think so. Yeah. You're seeing more and more, not billionaires, but like 9-figure guys going on pods. I'm seeing that for sure. So I think they'll open up over time.
Well, and those people will naturally grow to the billionaire status, right? Like you give it 5, 10, 20 years, that's what happens with the money.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. That's my most exciting thing is the network I'm building with the podcast.
Yeah.
Because we're 2 years in, but imagine because I have a group chat of all the guests. I think you're in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to mute that shit.
But imagine that chat.
You have like 800 people in it.
It's at 1,000. I reached the limit on WhatsApp. I had to make a second one actually because we're at 1,500 guests now. But imagine these chats in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Like the level of influence these chats will have.
Yeah.
It'll be crazy.
The indexed aspect of that will be amazing. Like if you port that out or, probably
into AI.
Yeah, AI will probably just grab it at that point, which is scary.
Yeah, probably already has it.
Yeah, probably definitely already has it.
Well, Opus connects with your YouTube now, so it's automatically,
Right.
Yeah.
It's all in there. It's got it all.
Yeah, it's got everything.
Yeah, your team was actually telling me yesterday they use Opus for B-roll.
Yeah, it's good for B-roll, man. Because B-roll is hard to find, and you got to be careful with B-roll because you could get copyright strikes. So you need B-roll that's license free. You don't want to get in any copyright trouble. Yeah,
well, and the flip side of that is that taking B-roll that is copyright free often is just trash.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the generic. We have cut so many editors from our stuff because they just put this generic bullshit in it. I'm like, hey,
Shutterstock stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, do not do that shit. It's terrible.
Yeah, I wonder how my guys are finding it. Hats off to them because I can't.
Yeah, they were saying that with Opus, you can, because it pulls all your content in, you can search for B-roll.
That's
so
cool.
You can search for like a topic and it will pull stuff from your library.
Wow.
And say, hey, when did I talk about whatever?
That's cool.
Right? Or show me this guest.
Shout out to Opus, man. They're 0 to 8 figures in 10 months. People don't know how hard that is. That is super hard.
It is. I mean, they caught a trend too, but it's super hard.
Yeah, even with the trend though, I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, to that end, how are you monetizing the podcast? Like, what is the business model with it?
We are profitable. I could say that. I'm still figuring out the full monetization capabilities. The events are doing really well now. So I think that'll probably be the main monetization for this year and next year. We basically have networking mixers / meetups. We have one tonight. The cool part about building the podcast is I don't have to run any paid ads for the event. So I'm able to get 1,000 to 2,000 people. We actually have 4,000 signups tonight, but usually about half show up. But I'm able to get like 2,000 people in any major city to show up to a room.
Yeah.
And I don't charge for tickets and I don't sell yet. So there's definitely money to be made on the back end somehow. I got to figure that out. But on the front end for now, we have sponsors. So the events are bringing in good money with sponsors, setting up tables and stuff. So that'll probably bring in a few million this year. And the margins are really high because I'm getting the venues for free. I learned that from Dan Fleischman.
Oh, yeah.
So that saves pretty much no expenses.
It's based on brand.
Yeah. No marketing expense. I'm bringing the business, the venue, a lot of business. And then on the podcast side, we make, decent money from the views. Some guests pay to come on if they don't have a big following, and then sponsors.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think most people look at this stuff. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I know a lot of clients that we have who have major podcasts monetized through information products.
Yeah.
Or a physical product, right? Supplements or whatever. Has that been of interest?
It has. It has to be the right product. I'm very skeptical because I come from e-commerce and the margins are just so thin. So I'd probably lean more towards the info side / community side because I love community, building communities, masterminds or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely been in conversations.
So live events, sponsorships, and you have thrown everybody into this WhatsApp group, but that's predominantly, I mean, that's all guests, right?
All guests and sponsors. So I try to provide value to sponsors because they're important.
Yeah. Is there an issue with sponsors just blasting the fuck out of all the guests?
No. So I make it clear in the rules. I've had to kick a few people, unfortunately, because like after your intro message, you're not allowed to promote your business unless someone asks about your business specifically, because I don't want it just to be a shill fest.
Yeah. Why did you choose WhatsApp versus another platform? Because when most people think about community, they think about sort of a searchable, formatted, structured thing. And WhatsApp's this scrolling feed of chaos.
Yeah. No, there's probably a better one, to be honest, because there's a lot of chatter in there. But I just always felt like Facebook was weird for groups. I wasn't a fan of Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are not using Facebook anymore, at least in my generation.
What do you think is weird about it? I mean, aside from the fact that they obviously control it and can take it away from you at any time.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just for me, like, I don't know if it's clunky or just like a weird setup, but maybe it could be an age thing. Do you like Facebook groups?
I don't like any of it.
Yeah.
No, I think it's all a fucking pain in the ass. But I will say that there's definitely an age thing where younger generations have moved more to the feed-based stuff, like some DM platform functionally.
Right.
And just living in that short form.
Discord, yeah.
Exactly. And Discord, I find to be chaotic as hell.
It's so hard to use.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting messages in all different tabs, notifications everywhere. Yeah, that's why I didn't use Discord or Telegram, because Telegram, a lot of people don't have Telegram. So I felt like WhatsApp had the slight edge over Telegram.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see if there's a better one. Maybe WAP or School will come up with something that I can transition over.
Yeah, I know some people use Circle too.
Circle?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one.
Circle's it's a third party. It's like sort of serves the purpose of a Facebook group would, but it's an app on your phone and kind of has the ongoing feed chatter, but you can organize it into different groups.
Yeah.
Yeah. So topical stuff.
Yeah. Well, a lot of shows are launching their own chats now. So it's cool to see that I kind of was the first to do that. And I'm in like 6 WhatsApps now for other podcast shows. Yeah.
What do you think is, if somebody has an existing business and they're launching a podcast, you launched quick, and that's why I want to ask you this, because you launched super quick. Like I said, a lot of people want to build brand to support a business that they have. What do you think the best way is to convert people from the podcast to your brand or product?
Yeah, I guess it depends on every person's goal. For me, I'm just aiming for visibility. So I'm just aiming for clips, and I'm posting a lot. So consistency. But for a brand perspective, if they want more awareness, I could see it working, because if they're not pitching too much and it's natural, like it could be a similar system to how I have it, where they just have on people from their industry and they just chat the shit. Like they're not really pushing. I think the problem is when it's too salesy. That's where a lot of brands like try to start podcasts and it just becomes too much of a pitch. So just keep it natural. And I think with the right formula, the right editors, I think what I've done is duplicatable. And honestly, girls get way more views than guys if they're like intelligent. Like my most viewed clips are attractive females that could talk well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a brand, I would try to put, not to be sexist, but like a female host. And I think it would do pretty well.
There's a conversation that I have all the time with different people about when they're launching an independent podcast or YouTube channel, whether it should be your name or a brand, right? You've got Tim Ferriss and Joe Rogan, or you've got Digital Social Hour. How do you pick whether it should be your name or some other name?
Forget who I had on, but he was a 9-figure guy. He works with Tony Robbins, bald guy. But he told me never to do your name, because if you want to build it to exit, it's going to be really hard. I kind of agree with that. At the same time, I'm using my personal social media handles, so I messed up there. So I think you should use a name if you plan on exiting. But if you plan on just having it forever, just do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the trade-off, right, is that if you have a brand that you're pushing, Digital Social Hour, it's easier to sell, right? Yeah. And you could swap the host later if you wanted to, sell it as an asset. But you don't have the same personal branding play for yourself.
Yep.
Right?
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But I'm planning on selling, so hopefully that happens one day.
You have a timeline?
We actually are getting offers already, which is crazy. But no, probably like a few years.
Yeah.
Because revenue doubled and profits going up. And that's before the events really took off. So I want to do this for another year or two, see where we're at. once we hit maybe 8 figures in revenue, then I'll start shopping. I want a high 8 or 9 figure exit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then what?
Well, you'll still have the podcast. It'd be similar to how Rogan structured it, where you just get a lump sum up front. They start keeping all your sponsorship money, but you still do what you do, which is what I want. I just don't want to sell to someone that will tell me who to have on and what to say. I wouldn't do that for any amount of money.
Yeah.
I want the freedom of I love where I'm at now because I can have on whoever I want. No one tells me anything. I probably lost tons of money doing that, but it's all good. I've had some sponsors back out.
How did you transition into this? So let's back out jerseys.
Yeah. Well, it was jerseys. So it was e-commerce jerseys. And then it was pandemic hit, I think. Yeah, pandemic hit. And then it was masks. I think we talked about that on the first episode. Then it was crypto. That's the first year I made 8 figures in a year. And then it was the podcast. So I did really well in crypto, made a ton, lost a ton, and then had no meaning in life for a few months, and then started the show looking for meaning and purpose. And here we are 2 years later.
Interesting. Well, tell me, I don't think we got any of those stories.
Oh, we didn't? I thought we talked about the mask stuff on the first one.
Well, I think we talked about it personally, but I don't think we actually got it.
So yeah, summarize basically. I did
what was the e-com jersey story?
Yeah, it was called Jersey Champs. That was like my second business. My first one failed. I tried doing concert bookings, total flop. Almost gave my dad a heart attack. And then second one, Jersey Champs, e-commerce, typical dropshipping store. Dropshipping was hot at the time. This was like 2015. Everyone was doing it. So did that for 3 years. I was in college, dropped out for that. Was making $50K a year, but the revenue was decent. The peak year was 1.2 million. And then from there, transitioned into masks because the pandemic hit. I've never done B2B before, so I was learning all of this on the fly. I downloaded Zoom Info, Rocket Reach, paid a ton of money for those databases, and was literally cold emailing hospitals and governments. And it somehow ended up working, man. I figured out the right distributors, suppliers, and connected the dots. We did, I think, 20 million in revenue. I didn't make that much, but just to see that was possible from my bedroom was insane. So I fell in love with cold email.
Well, give me a timeline on that, because when COVID hit, masks, there was a huge shortage, right?
Yeah.
So a huge issue, which obviously was the catalyst for this. How did you even get the masks at that point in time?
Yeah. So we had a few deals we closed from Chinese supplier, which my mom had connections to. I'm half Chinese. She grew up in Beijing. And then we had a agreement with a 3M distributor in the US. They just had a big back order, but we still got those orders in, and I think they got fulfilled over time. Some of them canceled, but still, it was about a year of that. Just every single day, waking up at 6 a.m., cold emailing. I had a partner doing the cold calls. He was an older gentleman named Seth, and we did really well, man, revenue-wise. I didn't take home that much, but it was really good proof of concept, and I still cold email every day to this point now.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. I cold email and cold DM every single day. I've done cold DM for probably 10 years straight.
Damn. For guests at this point?
Now it's for guests, yeah. But it could be for anything, whatever business you're in, just shoot your shot,
How much time do you spend doing that, and how do you track it?
Well, now I'm more picky. I used to send 100 a day when I was doing jerseys, and now I probably send maybe 20 a day inviting guests. So I scroll on my feed looking for viral guests, DM about 20, say about half get back to me, and then maybe 8 or 9 get on the show from there. And we're filming about 60 a month. We're booked till May. So that's kind of what I'm doing with DMs now. And then with emails, we use it for the networking events.
Got it. How much time do you commit to it?
Well, once it's set up, because it's all automated, we use a program called Instantly.ai. We're able to get about 1,000 people from just the podcast at the events, and then the rest are from cold email campaigns. So you can export entrepreneurs in Austin, Texas, making $5 million or more a year in revenue, put them in an email campaign, send about 100 emails a day. And that's how I got the rest of the attendees.
For the attendees. And what about the DMs?
DMs is just for podcast guests. I'm manually doing that. That probably takes, because I'm scrolling, depends on the day, maybe an hour or 2 a day.
Yeah.
But it's fun, and I'm learning a lot about what's going viral. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, I get it. I think that I ask because it's really common. One of the fundamental sales premises is people think they're doing more than they're doing, right? So you said I started with 100, then I went to 20, and tracking that stuff for most people is mission critical to make sure you do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially when you're stuck in your fucking feed and you could just be scrolling for an hour.
Yeah.
Right?
I used to DM every day till I was blocked. That's how I knew I hit 100 because I think 100 was like the limit. I don't know what it is
the
anymore.
limit per day.
Yeah. Just copy and pasting like a machine. It's funny though because Instagram has all your old messages. So now when I'm inviting people on the podcast, I have to unsend the Jersey stuff because it's like a little embarrassing from 7 years ago. Yeah.
Nope, that's great. I pulled up a Sun Life Organics. Khalil. Yeah, you did an intro. We're going to record later.
Yeah.
But I went to text him today and pulled up a thread from 2020.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
You guys met at an event or something?
No, somebody else in town had introduced us.
Wow.
And I don't even know who because I didn't find the group chat. I just text him directly.
Wow. Small world. That's cool.
But same thing. Like, and I actually love that the old messages pop up because stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And that gives you another point of conversation with somebody. Unless you had just like spammed them.
Maybe I should keep my old texts. I have it set to delete all my old texts.
Oh, dude. I've got mine since like 2007.
Damn. Yeah. Mine delete. I only have the past year. The reason for that is actually wild. I manually text every single event attendee.
Damn.
With my personal cell number. And I've been doing that since my first event ever, which had 20 people at it. But now it's gotten to the point, like this last one, I couldn't hit up everyone. There was 4,600 signups. I hit up about 1,500. So I need a better system for that.
Yeah, like don't do it.
Well, part of me, because the people come up to me, they're like, they love that personal touch.
Sure.
And that means a lot to me. But yeah, now it's getting to the point where it's too much. And my personal numbers, I need to value that more, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's an inevitable path of giving your phone away.
Yeah. So that's why I had it set to a year because it was taking up so much storage on my phone. I reached the max storage.
Yeah, I just let it roll, and I do not text 4,000 people for an event.
Yeah, it's probably not the most efficient way. It takes a lot of time.
I don't know, man. I think that there's this balance, especially today, of personalization versus automation, and what actually makes sense. And I think that very often personalization is the more efficient path. It feels like it takes a lot more time, but pound for pound, you get a better, effective net response.
Yeah.
Right?
I think for high value tasks, yes. Like for a podcast, you want that personal invite. You don't want a copy paste message.
No. And even like I just got back from an event a few weeks ago, and I got emails, like follow up emails from people that I met at the event or texts, and one of them was clearly a copy and paste, and it was like it was still pretty well done. Yeah, but it was like, something's a little off on this.
How
like
could you tell
it was too generic.
Okay.
It was like, it was great meeting you at the event. I want to keep the conversation going and find out what else is going on in your life.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that if I got that.
Right. And it's kind of like you have to, and then you've got the ones that are copy and paste with one thing changed, right?
Yeah. For me, I bring up something personal when I do the follow-up text. So if they told me about their kid, if they told me about their wife or an event they're going to or a vacation they're about to go on, I'll bring that up. And I think they value that.
Yeah, I think there's no question about that. So that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I keep notes when I'm at an event.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I try to. That depends on my drinking at the event.
Yeah, I'm pretty much sober, so I got an edge there.
Yeah,
I
you
guess. Do. But I trade off the happiness of drinking. So
that's yes. That's the balance.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually why I take notes on it, because whether I've had one drink or many, either way, I want to have that sort of follow-up course of action.
Do you do it to loosen up, or are you like socially?
Yeah, I do it to loosen up.
Yeah.
And I think that sobriety is kind of an ongoing, interesting conversation, because there's no question that you can have those social engagements without drinking. I think there's also no question that it changes the dynamic and things come out when you're drinking that wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah.
For good and bad.
Both, yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on how drunk you are, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen it go horribly, but I've seen it I know a lot of introverts, and a couple drinks, makes them definitely more lively.
Yeah. Well, I definitely have had conversations with people that have allowed us to dive into conversations that have been much deeper and connect in a way that we never would have.
Yeah.
No.
I could see that.
Yeah, if there wasn't alcohol
Yeah,
involved.
for me, I'm so open about my insecurities in my past and everything. Yeah, I guess I don't need to drink. That'll just come out if it happens.
Yeah.
I'm not out there just spewing it for no reason. But if it comes up, I'll talk about it without any shame.
Insert funny advertisement here. Or just check out Easy Pay Direct. It's epd.com/BAM, and you can find out about credit card processing for your business. Lots of our guests use us for credit card processing, and this seemed like more fun than writing a scripted ad.
What do you think the most difficult thing you've had to overcome is?
I had a lot of doubt, insecurity growing up about my looks. I didn't look in the mirror for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, because a girl called me ugly in like 5th grade and it just broke me. On Uvu. You remember Uvu?
Oh.
They just went out of business.
Did they?
They were like a Skype.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
No, I never
girl
used
in my
that.
middle school called me that. Yeah, so that fucked me up. Yeah, and I was super skinny. I was like 135, 140 pounds, 6'5" in high school.
Still a giant.
So I had a lot of body issues. So that for me, just always talking to girls and even guys, like I was the weak, scrawny guy. So, but now I'm, better. So
yeah,
just got in the gym, started working, started making money, and I just had a lot of confidence issues. I think growing up, only child, divorced household, really shy.
How did your parents impact your risk assessment, your entrepreneurship, et cetera, specifically sort of the immigrant background?
Yeah, I got both ends of it. My mom wanted me to take the safe route for sure with academics and 9 to 5 and work my way up the corporate ladder. She came from China, $20, didn't speak English, scrubbed kitchen floors, worked her way up to a self-made millionaire doing that route through education and 9 to 5. And she's still working now. She works at AWS now. So hats off to her doing that. Super impressive. But my dad was an entrepreneur on the side. He had a 9 to 5, same company as my mom. It was called Telcordia. They got bought out by Ericsson. And then he sold books on the side, and I saw how passionate he was. We would go in dumpsters, and I would pull books out of the dumpster library, and we would go to book sales. And those are like my favorite memories of my father. So I think I got the entrepreneurship from him.
What books were impactful?
I wasn't too much of a reader until college. I was more like an audio guy. I started off with TEDx talks, just binged those in college just to get motivation, because I think there's different stages of learning. So at first I just needed the motivation. So yeah, blasted the TEDx talks and Gary Vee at the time. He's pretty motivational, and Les Brown and motivational speeches. And then I started, getting more into books and podcasts. But it changes. Right now, I'm actually doing relationship books because I feel like I've done so many business books and self-development books. I milked that category and I neglected my personal relationships. So I'm working on that now. A lot of sacrifice to get to where I'm at in my personal life. I'll say that.
What do you mean?
Just like to have this success fast, it comes at a cost.
Yeah.
I'm 28 and for my age group, like I'm way ahead on paper, but it came with a lot of personal sacrifice with my own health, with relationships and friendships.
Are you conscious of that while you're doing it?
Not early on, but now I am. And even though that I still am, I still want to work. It's like a weird dichotomy, but I think in the long run it'll play out, but I know I've done some harm. Working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, 5 years straight while dating someone. That's hard on her.
Yeah.
Not giving them time.
How does she look at that?
Now we've reached a compromise, but it's still like a conversation ongoing because stuff will pop up. Like I don't film on weekends usually, but Andrew Tate was in town on Saturday. I'm like, let's reach an agreement here. And now we're at a good point where we can have those conversations. Before I felt so much shame to even ask that about traveling to somewhere on the weekend or something like that. But yeah, now I take weekends off-ish. Like I'll work a few hours a day. I used to work weekday nights. I kind of take those off now too. So it's just having conversations.
I think that there's definitely some truth in the way that you can be the best for other people is by focusing on being the best version of yourself. And you can go through phases in life, but if you're really passionate about building something, the way to do that is to have relentless focus on it. It's my opinion.
Yeah.
Is that first off, does that resonate with you?
Oh, 100%. I lock in whenever my mind's set. Like I knew this podcast when I started it was going to be big. Yeah. Because I knew I was locking in and going all out. I probably I don't know what other podcasts spend on their podcasts, but if I had to guess, I must be spending the most time. Like I don't know anyone working as hard as they are on their shows as me. From what I've seen at least.
Yeah. Well, I don't know anybody that's recording in such significant blocks and putting out so many so fast.
Yeah, 1,500 episodes in 2 years. I was actually on Guinness the other day. I wanted to see if it's like a world record or something. But no, the world record is 4,500 episodes now. So I'll get that in maybe 4 or 5 years.
Damn. Where I was going with that was with this shift in schedule with the girlfriend and now taking some nights off, taking weekends off to spend time. Do you look at that as a sacrifice to the pursuit of the business?
Yeah.
Or as a desirable path to longevity, or both?
Both. Yeah, at first I would lean towards more of the first answer you said. I thought it really affected the business if I wasn't working on it nonstop. But I also think it's good to take some time off and reflect and think too. Because the first 3 years I was just grinding with no time to like reflect on anything. I was just doing minuscule tasks and doing customer service and graphic design and everything myself. And that's not productive, you know. Now I'm at a cool spot where I'm finally hiring because I was such a micromanager for years. But now we got a nice team. And that's how I'll probably get to 9 figures because I've always been stuck in the 7 to 8 range like for years, for probably like 7 years now. But I think to get to that 9-figure range, I'm going to have to build a team because I've never seen a 9-figure entrepreneur solo. Have you?
No, but I think that we're probably going down that path because I think with the tools coming out, with AI feeding itself into all these different spaces, I think we're going to probably start seeing that.
Yeah, I think so too. But
it
does,
without question, leverages people.
Yeah, and it does feel great having a team like with the same mission. Like it feels really empowering, and you know, to see the lives I'm changing now is cool.
Yeah,
one of my employees has like a elderly dog, like rescue kind of. Mm-hmm. It's like a bunch of dogs that she's rescuing, and just to be able to provide for that is a good feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. It's good to have people around too. I mean, doing stuff with people is more fun.
Absolutely.
If they're the people you want to do it with.
No, absolutely. Because I've traveled alone and it never hits the same. You could be in the nicest resort alone, 5-star, 5,000 a night or whatever, doesn't hit the same.
No, it's to me, that's not even fun, actually. Like, it's like sort of entertaining for a minute and then I'm alone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it was the worst trip of my life, the one I did alone. I'll never do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I travel solo all the time for business, but it's to go to some events.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, it is different, but it's still like I'm still alone there, you know? And like I'm alone in my room and I'm at this place and okay.
Yeah.
You know?
That makes sense.
Yeah, especially if it's an event that's new, right? If you go to like you go to one of the masterminds that you're a part of or something that you're at routinely where you know people, then you've got community. But if you're new to something, then you truly are just alone showing up.
100%.
Which goes back to, I guess, if you have a strong personal brand, you show up and people know you.
That's what I'm seeing more. I'm getting recognized more and more, trying to stay humble about it. Hopefully I can maintain it. It's a challenge though. Like it's just being honest, like
sure.
Getting these crazy numbers and like more and more people coming up to me. I can see how it eats people.
What's the worst question people ask you when they meet you?
You play basketball? Or how tall are you? I mean, it's whatever.
What about relative to the podcast? What's the dumbest question people ask about the podcast?
Either how to start or how to grow it. I mean, I could see how to grow it, but how to start.
Easy, killer. I just asked you like 15 questions about that.
Yeah. No, but like how to start is like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Like just get started. I filmed on iPhone 8 refurbished. Like my first podcast setup, I was renting a studio with iPhone 8s. Like who cares about the quality at first? Just get the reps in.
Yeah, I refer to myself as a recovering perfectionist.
I used to be a huge perfectionist. It's like so toxic though in business.
It is. Well, so that brings another question, which is my stance has been V1 shouldn't be a shitty version of the product. It should be a really good but very scaled down version of the product. The alternate approach is just do a ton of shit and eventually get something decent out of it.
Yeah.
Which direction do you lean?
I lean towards the one where it's just get started. Because I sucked at first at podcasting.
Yeah.
I think it's very hard to just train yourself before you even start filming to be good at it. I think you need to do it. Like I don't think anyone can just do it. And yeah, some people are naturally good at talking, so it's easier for them. But I think just get the reps in, man. You don't even have to air the first 10. You just practice.
Yeah.
So I'd lean more towards the first one, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it depends on what medium you're talking about. Like if you're building software, then having a shitty version out there.
Right. That's different.
Just to do reps probably isn't that productive.
No, you're right. It depends on the industry for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's a good point with recording stuff. And there's no question that there are people that are naturally charismatic, but it can also be a conditioned skill set, right? And maybe you do 1,000 reps and you still aren't very charismatic. You still kind of suck.
Yeah, it's possible.
But you're definitely going to be better than you were when you started.
Yeah. I mean, look, on paper, I should not be good at podcasting. I did a brain scan. I'm not sure if I told you, but I have autism, ADHD, childhood trauma, all these mental conditions. And anyone could take one of those and use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
You know, but I have all of those. And yeah, I was a huge introvert. I had agoraphobia. I couldn't even leave my house. But you can train to be a good podcast. So it's a good conversationist.
Are there things that you do deliberately to be better at conversing?
I think it comes with the reps, comes with studying. You could study, but you also have to take action. So I watch the top shows. I study the questions they're asking, the guests they're having on. how they're sitting, how they're like using hand gestures, everything. You could definitely learn how to be, and going to events, talking to different people, different walks of life. I've gotten a lot better at reading people from the podcast and feeling out the vibe of the room.
Are there any mentors that you have had on the upswing here?
Not direct one-on-one, but just indirect because I study all the top shows. But now I've built relationships with some big hosts. So maybe they're mentors. We text about podcasting.
What are the shows, or who are the people that you think are best at interviewing?
Ooh, there's some good ones. Right now, since we're in Austin, I'll shout out Chris Williamson.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's got a great show.
Yeah.
I actually was messaging he's going to come on this year. Patrick Bet-David, amazing. Pierce Morgan, love him or hate him. He kind of innovated this political debate world, killing it. Every YouTube video gets 1 million views. Obviously, Rogan's the GOAT. There's a lot, man. There's really good, but there's a big gap between the top shows and the rest of the shows. So
yeah, those are interesting ones because Chris has a wildly different approach and style than like Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah.
Right? Like Patrick Bet-David has this very, I'll call it natural charisma, and he just goes.
Yeah.
And Chris is like this incredibly thoughtful, slow, insightful question asker.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that one style is better than another?
No, because they're being themselves. They're being their authentic selves. They're not putting on a mask. So like Chris is probably more introverted. Pat's more extroverted. He's a go-getter and a straightforward guy, straight shooter. So no, they're just playing into themselves. So yeah, you can be a good host as an introvert and an extrovert and just be yourself. Like people are like trying to cap on these podcasts. It blows my mind.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I think that goes back to like you've got the podcast as a business model. Yeah. And there are people that just want to do the podcast and nothing else in their life. And like, that's the thing.
Right.
And then you have people that leverage podcasts, like HubSpot has a podcast, right? And now they have a podcast network. That clearly is all about monetizing HubSpot.
Right.
The whole thing, right? Do you think it makes sense for businesses to leverage podcasts for monetization purely? And does that warrant a different structure, a different organization, less authenticity?
I think it could work. So HubSpot's a good example because they have the show My First Million.
Oh, yeah.
And they do a phenomenal job. Like that, I should have mentioned them earlier, but yeah, I love that show. I watch almost every episode.
Silly
and
fuckers.
They HubSpot, yeah, they're great. But HubSpot advertises on their show and it seems super natural and organic. So if you do it that way, yeah, that's a great idea. But yeah, you can't be too pitchy because then you're going to lose viewers if you're not providing value.
Yeah, I feel like there's got to be alignment, but it has to be entertaining. And
yeah, those guys are entertaining, man. Good duo. Sure.
Super entertaining. Yeah, Sam was in town for a long time. I think he moved, but
oh yeah,
I think he still has property here, but he's moved around quite a bit.
Which team are you on? Team Sam or Team Sean?
Well, I've met Sam a couple times, and he's like in mutual circles. I don't, I like both of them. Okay. I haven't met Sean.
Sam's more my style. He seems more of a straight shooter. Yeah. More East. Is he from the East Coast?
Good question.
He gives me East Coast energy.
Yeah.
Super direct. Sean gives me Cali energy, but they're both really intelligent guys.
Yeah. Well, I think that having two people doing it is also an interesting dynamic for a show because they independently are entertaining, and have banter with each other.
Yeah.
Versus sort of a question answer podcast. They're just sort of fucking around. More.
Right. That's why the All In podcast does really well too, I think.
Talk about a different format though, right? All In is incredibly structured and like they're playful, but they're like a different caliber of thoughtfulness. And they're very macro, right? They're studying that stuff all the time.
Right.
Like their job is to study the macro trends in the world for the sake of investment.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess you could sort of say the same about
Sam and Sean
in My First Million, kind of, except they're not professional investors, right? They're sort of serial entrepreneurs that are doing things and just interested and curious.
Well, that's why I think, both shows do well, but Sam and Sean, it's more relatable, if that makes sense.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to the small audience, big audience thing.
Right.
Like the My First Million is focused on new entrepreneurs, right? And All In is focused on an elite group of society that is focusing on investment and macro world trends.
Right.
It's just going to be a smaller group.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's an audience for a lot of different niches. You got to find your lane and your goal with it. But I'm going after mass audience.
Well, that's we got off that track at some point, but that's
I know we started with that.
But I have to, for Beyond a Million, we're starting to do sort of multi-7-figure folks.
Yeah.
Which are just different conversations than the 8, 9, 10-figure folks. But it's easier to find people that help grow the audience of the podcast.
In the 7-figure range?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
There
I
are
agree.
many, many more 7-figure entrepreneurs that have big audiences. It just is a different conversation.
I agree. Yeah, I'm in the 7-figure range now, to be transparent, but I've done 8 once, and that fucked me up. Yeah, hopefully I'm in a better mental spot next time I do that.
Why did it fuck you up? Was
just,
that
just the crypto? Yeah, just making that much
stuff.
money that quick. I think I was too immature, too greedy, lost it all. But I'll be in a way better mental framework next time. Yeah. So when that happens again, I'll be chilling.
We didn't get there. So you did the mask thing.
Oh yeah, we didn't.
And that
get
got
there.
to 20 million or something.
Yeah, in revenue, I
revenue.
barely made any money, to be honest.
So no margin.
Pretty much no margin.
Well,
There was, but a lot of people canceled later because the mask took forever. There was like a 10% margin, so I was supposed to make $1 million or $2 million.
Yeah,
but that didn't happen. But
Yeah.
I remember jumping in my bedroom like, babe, I'm a millionaire. That first million hits, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna ever feel that way again.
no. I
But
don't
yeah,
think
so then I did become a millionaire through crypto.
Mhm.
Launched NFTs, gotten some coins at the right time, and yeah, crypto was right time, right place. I can't say how much skill was involved because I got really lucky, honestly.
Mhm.
I think people don't admit that about crypto. They think they can predict it, but no one can.
Yeah.
So just admit you got lucky, and I lost it all. So
You could take that story and slap it on a million people.
Yeah.
What coins did you do? How did you do it? What was the structure? Did you just kind of like find something and jump on it? Did you research it? Were you involved in crypto groups?
Yeah.
And this is like 2021?
Yeah. So it was the third bull run, I think.
Uh-huh.
So basically launched the NFT, did well, made $1 million net off that, and then reinvested that. I started these, or at first I joined the groups, and then I was like, let me just start mine. I love connecting people together. So I had a whale group, and they would post random coins. It's been so long, I don't even remember some of the names because these coins cycle so fast. But yeah, got in on some of these meme coins and made a lot, lost a lot, and ended up getting a 10 million. I literally could have pressed sell and cashed it out, and I didn't. That went all the way down to $1 million, and it's probably even lower now. And that I had it all in like a couple coins, meme coins, and I didn't cash out what I could have, man.
So it's now, March 2025. Are you involved in crypto at this point?
I'm not. It left such a sour taste in my mouth, and that could be bad, honestly. Like I probably could have been capitalizing this whole time, but I'm chilling right now. I'm so focused on the pod.
Yeah.
I think if I went back to crypto, it would deter from the podcast.
Yeah. No, I get it. Though we are, in another run of some sort. And
Well, right now it's down.
I know, but we've been up for the last several months. And so
Right.
how long is it going to be down right now?
True.
Trump just announced that we're going to have a crypto reserve,
Yeah.
and nothing really happened when he announced it.
It went down when he announced it.
But like something's going to happen moving forward.
For sure.
I would think
4-year cycles.
Mhm.
So if you just followed the cycles and not overthought it, you would make a ton of money. But people always try to day trade it and buy meme coins.
Yeah. So for now, you're just staying the fuck out of it.
For now, but
Yeah.
that might change if the right text message comes through. Like imagine if you knew Trump's team when he launched the Trump coin.
Yeah.
Could have made millions just off that one connection. That's why I value connections and
Yeah.
relationships. Because I do know people that made a killing. I just wasn't tapped in enough, I guess, to that team.
Yes. Mike Dillard is in town, and Mike he's always been involved in finance, but super involved in crypto.
Yeah.
And he got wind of the Trump coin at like $3.
Damn.
I know.
So he made a ton.
He didn't
What?
invest in it. Yeah.
What?
It was one of these like,
That's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
I know. It was one of the, and I can't remember why. I can't remember if he was busy or made a conscious choice not to do it, because he tracks this stuff pretty tightly. But those ones seem obvious.
I was at inauguration that week when they launched it and just doing podcasts, and guests were coming up to me like, yo, I made this much. One guy made like 10 mil. I'm like, damn, I was filming all day.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to staying focused on what you're doing instead of chasing the shiny object. And there are a million opportunities that come and go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Plus, I don't value money as much as I used to, I think. I mean, I still love money. It's still probably top 3 for me, but used to be number 1 by far.
Well, my rule for investments is if there is some crazy sense of urgency behind it and I'm going to miss it because of that, I'm okay missing it.
That's a red flag, right?
Absolutely.
Usually. Yeah. There's rare exceptions like the Trump coin, but I think usually it's just a big red flag.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you have to really know your shit to be able to capitalize on something that has urgency behind it, where you can see it immediately, have already assessed it, already know what's going on. Then you can pull the trigger.
That's a good point.
But if somebody's pushing you to assess something in real time, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I love that advice, honestly.
I'm out if that's out.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you carving out time, man. It's always good to have you in studio.
Yeah. Great interview, man. And let me know how we can work more in the future.
Yeah, I love that. Where should people find you?
Digital Social Hour would be best. Just dropped the Tate episode this morning. Going to spend probably $50K on Clippers for that. So you guys can see me in real time with this strategy, see how many views it gets, and try it out on your own if you want.
Fuck yeah. Until next time.
All right.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Beyond a Million. If you liked the podcast, you should probably click the bell and subscribe, and maybe leave a comment below. That helps other people find us and keeps this flywheel going. And the more people that find us, the better guests that we can get on the show. So if you could take 30 seconds to do those things, it would be amazing.